Hello, welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. My name is Bethanne. Trying out slightly different filming location. I know there's no books behind me. The light everywhere in my apartment is bad, so it doesn't seem to really matter where I film. Anyway, today I wanted to talk very briefly about a book I just read for the Book Naturalists book club, which was organized by Heidi over at My Reading Life and Doris at Aldi Books. So I'll include links to their channels below. And the goal is to just regularly read nature writing throughout the year. So we have they're choosing a book for each month, and the first 4 months worth of books have been selected. So you can see that over in their announcement videos on their channels. So this month's pick for January is called World of Wonders by Aimee Nezhukumatathil, which I'm sure I'm pronouncing not quite right. And she is a poet, but this is her debut work of nonfiction. I did read it on my Kindle, so I'm going to show a picture of the cover here. And one really cool thing about this book is that each essay, so it's a collection of essays, and each essay is quite short. They're only a few pages. And then in between the essays are these absolutely beautiful black and white photos. So they're in the same style as the artwork on the cover. They're just absolutely gorgeous, and at least in the Kindle edition anyway, they were in black and white. I don't know, maybe there's a print edition where they're in color, so maybe somebody could chime in the comments if anybody knows if there's an edition that's in color in hardcover. But anyway, I'll try to also, so I'm going to point, but I'm not sure if I have the picture. I'm going to try to find, hopefully, one of the gorgeous interior photos as well, just to show that beautiful art continues throughout the book. And it's really special because each essay is focused on a particular organism, a particular species of animal or plant. And so a beautiful detailed picture of that organism in this style will be in front of the chapter. So you know exactly what she's talking about, even if it's an animal or a plant that you've never heard of. And then each of these short essays, she weaves together some kind of quintessential characteristic of that organism with an aspect of her own life. So it's part natural history because you learn a little bit, and then it's also part memoir because she's talking about kind of these really meaningful connections between things that are happening in her life and how that kind of relates to some aspect of the animal or plant that she's showing. And kind of throughout, she has like this really tight storytelling about kind of the development of your sense of identity as she was growing up in the US, moving around quite a bit, often the only person of color in her class at school. She's descended from, her mom is from the Philippines and her father is Indian from South India. So talking about that experience weaves throughout many of the essays. And so there's a really strong sense of place because even though her family moved around so much as she was growing up, she kind of talks about how in many of the places where she's lived, she would kind of connect to the natural world in that place. And then how connections to some things kind of carried throughout her life. But just in general, that was always just a strong theme, was being able to connect to the natural world wherever she is. And I think I mentioned that she's a poet and this is her debut work of nonfiction, but her lyrical, poetic sense and way of writing really comes through even though it's nonfiction. So the writing is just rich and lyrical and really beautiful in this book. So just wanted to mention, I guess, just as an example, two of the essays that kind of stood out to me. So one for the memoir aspect, the essay is focused on the peacock, which is one of her favorite animals. And in particular, it's focused on the rich, beautiful color of peacocks and the way that they represent India. And so as a kid, their house growing up had been full of peacocks. She really loved peacocks, and the really vibrant, turquoise and blues of the peacocks were her favorite color. And in one of her, I think in Kansas, one of her schools, when she was a kid, had said, as an assignment, draw an animal. And so everyone in the class kind of drew like a local American animal, and she drew a peacock. But the teacher said, everyone did a great job on this assignment, and in front of the class said, except for Aimee. Aimee needs to redo this assignment and draw an American animal. So just kind of an example of that weaving of the importance of this particular organism to her. At this point in her life, she had already been visiting India with her family and had seen real peacocks, and really felt a connection to them with this kind of growing up and racially charged experience from more of a memoir narrative. And so that's all the essays are something like that, except she, of course, writes it way more beautifully than I could ever say. But that gives you some idea of what the essays are like. And then some of them, even though I'm a biologist with a biology background, I feel like I learned something about the organism or plant that was the focus of the essay for like every single one. And so one example, she had an essay about the monarch butterfly, and mentioned how in their flights across the country, as they're crossing the Great Lakes, in the northern part of the United States, there's this point where they all just like bank sharply in their flight, and nobody could figure it out. It's like in the middle of the lake until finally scientists realized, wait, way back in time, there was like a mountain in the middle of the lake, and the monarchs still remember that. It's still like passed down. And so even though that mountain is no longer there, they still veer around it. And so in that essay, she talks a little bit about what are the things that we might remember without being told them. Kind of what do we remember in that same way of like instinct or emotional memory. So that was also a really powerful essay. So anyway, this essay collection was great, really beautiful. It's short, and each essay was very short, so it was really kind of perfect for just reading an essay or two before bed, and it was kind of easy to get sucked in because then I just tell myself, oh, just one more of these beautifully written essays, and before I knew it, it would have been 45 minutes after I was supposed to be asleep. So yeah, I recommend this book. I really enjoyed it. And if you'd like to read some nature writing this year with me, and you're not already planning to do the Book Naturalist Book Club, please go ahead and join everyone who's doing it. I think there's going to be some engagement on Twitter and Instagram as well. So go check out Heidi's and Doris's channels to see those announcement videos. And let me know if you're joining in, because I'd love to hear what you think about World of Wonders and any of the other books that we will read throughout the year. So happy reading, everyone. It's the weekend, yay. And I hope to see you all in the next video. Thanks. Bye.